Okay, 1 second. Welcome to the Better Buy, where I give you the information you need on the stuff that you want so that you can make the better buy. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 2022 Apple Watch Ultra preview introduction and show you whether or not Apple has delivered on the promises that they made. I have had the watch for an entire year. I'm a runner, I'm a surfer, I've put this thing through its paces, and I'm gonna walk you through their whole presentation and break down whether or not they actually delivered on the things they said they were gonna do. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna give you my 5 differentiating factors between the Apple Watch Ultra and another watch that I think will help you make your final buying decision. Because my goal is to give you the information you need on the stuff that you want so you can make the better buy. Let's get into it. All right, 1 second. I know. Costume change. Had a little bit of a hiccup. Filmed the entire reaction video, was super confident about it, very happy. It's like 42 minutes long, full thorough walkthrough, edited it, uploaded it, and YouTube blocked it. Those little suckers. I've seen people do reaction videos to other content before, and I had the clips broken up into like 30 to 60 second things. There was nothing that was like just straight long form Apple for the most part, and all of it was done with reaction education purposes, and yet Apple has all their stuff on lock. So you can't do that. And I learned that. However, I've solved this problem. I'm gonna be just editing this video, and what you're gonna see instead moving forward is just screenshots of important portions from the keynote that kind of like give you some of the context you need for the reaction that I'm giving. But I wanted to give you that tidbit because some of the things that I say in like transition are like, and now let's see the, you won't necessarily watch it happen, or I might be like, wow, that was really intense. And obviously you didn't see the intense thing. However, since we had this little hiccup, I would love to give you my 5 reasons right now so you don't have to wait till the end of the video. And I actually thought that would be better anyway, but I will revisit these at the end after I've kind of walked you through them. So the 5 reasons that I decided to get the Apple Watch Ultra instead of, like, I had tried the 5, I had tried the 7, but I just wasn't convinced. And the main reasons that I was willing to do it this time was, number 1, battery life. The increased screen size was important to me. The screen brightness was actually impactful for like how much time I spend running outside. And I had like Garmin's and Phoenixes and stuff like that before, and the readability of those screens was just so much better than previous Apple Watches. But this has been a nice, very, very useful screen brightness, so it hasn't been an issue. And then the durability of the materials, I really like the fact that this thing is basically, I mean, it's not bulletproof, let's not say things we can't say, but it's a strong material and it's very scratch resistant. And then the action button, having something that I could actually touch to do segments and things, were the main reasons why I decided to get the Apple Watch Ultra. And then that's like for the normal person, and then for the runner in me, it had to have this increased GPS accuracy. And while I didn't name that as one of my 5 reasons, because I don't think most people care that much about pinpoint GPS accuracy, for me, the accuracy of the Apple Watch Ultra, the increased accuracy that really went beyond my Garmin's, was the final tipping point that I needed to be able to get the Apple Watch. So if those 5 or 6 reasons are enough for you, then I'd say you have the information you need to make a buying decision. However, the rest of this video is going to walk you through my specific detailed experiences with the watch, and I think will be extremely helpful for anybody trying to make a buying decision. I hope you enjoy it. Please, again, like and comment, subscribe to my channel, because I'm trying to give you the best content I can. Hope you have a good one, and let's keep going. Now, if you're watching this video, you know that Apple is about to release their new watch. Maybe, if they're even going to do a new iteration. The main thing that I want you to consider is that when Apple releases a product, they use 3 main ways to convince you to buy the product. And that is ethos, pathos, logos. I'm going to go a little technical here, and then you'll be fine. So when you're thinking about buying something, you either look at the authority that is being used, so whether it's medical studies, trusted people, celebrities, things like that, or institutions, to verify that the information that a company is giving you is accurate, and Apple's going to do that. They're also going to use pathos, which is attaching their product to your heartstrings. It's going to make you feel something, and they're going to do that especially at the beginning by hitting you with some inspiring, amazing, just compelling stories that make you feel like you want to get out there and do something amazing too. And if you get the watch, it'll let you do it. And then the last way that big companies try and convince you to buy stuff is they use logos, which is an appeal to logic or, numbers or data or research. And they're going to use that with their tech stuff, their sensors, and all of that kind of information. And I'm going to walk you through that with a little bit more of a balanced view so that you can make a better decision about whether or not the Apple Watch Ultra is the right watch for you. Let's keep going. So there you go. There's some ethos and pathos right off the bat. The ethos is going to be the authority of these ultra athletes. If they trust the Apple Watch, you can trust the Apple Watch too. It's not a bad marketing tactic, and it's helpful to get people to make a buying decision, but I just want you to be aware of it as you're looking into your next product, specifically something as expensive as the Apple Watch. Now, when it comes to pathos, we can see that they're pulling on your emotions by telling you that these are inspiring, amazing, next level athletes, and if this is good enough for them, then maybe this is good enough for you to pursue something of that caliber or quality, and more importantly, if you own one of these, we might just bump you into that category anyway. You're going to be a part of the elites, one of the best. Maybe not actually, but at least associated wise. So consider that's what Apple is doing. It's not a bad thing, but it is a great marketing tactic. Now let's see what they have to show us with the Apple Watch. And that entire little sequence, the quote that was going on behind it, was credited to Ernest Shackleton. However, he didn't actually say the quote. The Smithsonian debunked this. It's considered a myth now. You can check the first link in my bio if you want to read more about it. But essentially, the idea was Shackleton put out this advertisement in the newspaper calling for brave men that were willing to risk it all with almost certain hazardous death, life situation, all for honor and glory and respect. And it's a great idea. It appeals to that intrepid explorer, the brave frontiersman. However, it's not true. So while it's a great idea and maybe it's a good marketing thing, it doesn't actually ring true if you look into the story itself. So maybe that doesn't really matter because it's still a great quote. And let's go ahead and look and see what Apple actually says about their watch. All right, so we're going to give this one to Apple because at the end of the day, a completely new design, any new design was going to be completely new. It's still got a flat surface. It's still got this button and this button. Maybe that button's new, but realistically, there's a lot of similarities between the two watches. I wouldn't call it a completely new design. And as far as like rugged or the most, rugged or durable watch they've ever made, anything that was more durable than the previous watch was going to be the most durable watch they've ever made. So a little bit of hyperbole there, over-exaggeration in their statements, but I can say that it is a very durable watch. Does Apple deliver on this promise? Is this the most durable Apple Watch they've ever made? Of course. Does it avoid cracks and scratches and everything? Well, here's mine. I've been wearing this watch for over a year, and you can see I'm just going to kind of spin it a little bit. There's not a single crack on the screen, okay? It is in, honestly, incredible condition. There is a little bit of scratching on the sides, but not much. I don't even know if it's enough that you could pick it up in the camera there. Maybe a little bit, all right? And I have put this thing through the ringer. I take it surfing, so it's hit my surfboard. I've bumped it into, there's a little bit of discoloration right here, where I've maybe scratched up a little bit, but I have to look very carefully to find any sort of markings on this. So I would say in that category, the Apple Watch has completely delivered as far as durability, scratch resistance. Obviously, screen cracking hasn't been an issue for me. And then as far as like the screen brightness goes, this thing has been incredible for me with running because I've had other watches that were light up displays. I had previous versions of the Apple Watch. This thing is so nice and bright. It is very easy to read when I'm out running, and I run in the brightest of bright sunlight. I'm in Florida, Sunshine State, and I can certainly vouch for the brightness and the readability of the display. Like when I'm out surfing, same thing. No problem. So I'd say 100% Apple delivers on that promise. So as Apple just said, you've got the 3 buttons, but the thing is, the action button is lacking, and I'll show you what I mean. All right. So if I'm here, I have mine set to flashlight. If I tap it, the flashlight comes on. Good stuff. I really like that. However, in order to change the action button, I have to tap here. I have to go to settings. It's going to pop out. I have to scroll all the way down to action button, and then I have to tap here, and then I can change that setting. That has been really annoying for me. As someone who goes back and forth between the use of a runner, like I use this as my workout action, to change my segments when I'm running, and then I use it as a flashlight. And I only need it in the workout section for like portions of the day. And there is technically a way that you can set up the action button to work in shortcuts, but I've tried to figure that out and spent a chunk of like probably like 2 hours at least trying to sort through that mess, and I couldn't get it to work well or even work at all. So what I would say is, in general, I would love the action button to be improved. They talk about it being the most multi-function aspect of the watch, and it's got a lot of work. I think there's a lot more that can be done with that button with just a little bit of changes. For one, being able to quickly switch between the actions that it does. That's my thoughts on it. As far as the other buttons go, they work just fine. I absolutely love those things, and the size of these is really nice and easy to use. So they sort of delivered on this one, but the action button doesn't live up to all of its promises. Now what about the speakers on the Apple Watch? All right, so here's my honest take on this. And I've used the watch when I'm out surfing. I've made phone calls from the surfboard to my wife, to my brother, just saying hey, because I'm sitting there waiting for a wave or whatever. And the reality is, when it's windy out there, they do have a hard time hearing what I'm saying. But I have an even harder time hearing what they're saying. I think overall, the mic does pretty good, but the speakers are like, I'm trying to like talk like this. This is my position. I'm trying to say something here and then hear something here. And it's kind of one of these, and you're trying to like say it and then move it so you can hear what they're going to say. So the speaker could be a lot better. You can tell when someone like, even walking in normal conditions, when I'm trying to talk on this, it's kind of one of these still. It's still kind of one of these. So overall, I would say that could use a lot of improvement. In a pinch, maybe it works a little bit, but like if it's really windy, it's pretty tough. As far as cellular connectivity, when I'm out surfing, one thing that I think is important to note is that if the thing dips underwater for like a second, if it clears the surface, goes underneath, you lose connection, which is normal, obviously, but it's just something to be aware of. Even with great connectivity, if you're out on the water and this goes underwater, then it's going to kill the service and you'll have to reconnect once it pops back up. So it's also an extra fee. Just be aware of that. It's not like you automatically get cellular, but you know, it's there if you want it. So what I would say is the speakers don't really deliver like they say in the video, but it works. And as far as like the cellular connectivity, it's been pretty good. Battery life, does it deliver? I would say basically, yeah. They said 36 hours, and that's essentially what I got out of it. Running normal stuff, going out, actually running, using the GPS for an hour, doing other stuff, like it delivered 36 hours. So, and that's over a year later now, basically. And so essentially, like I have all the stuff on the side. You can kind of see the walkthrough that I have. I ran a full till dead test of the Apple Watch just to see how it would do. I left all of my settings on normal because I wanted to see exactly how it would go, and I used the theater mode exactly how I would use it as far as at night, like I shut my screen off. I basically used the watch in normal functioning conditions, and I got 36 hours. It went from 8 o'clock one day, that was fully charged. Okay, maybe a little, 24 hours. It was actually more than, it was about 36 hours. So you can do the math, 8 o'clock one day to basically 5 o'clock 2 days later is what I got. So actually almost 48 hours if it had gone to 8 o'clock. Huh. Yeah. So they deliver on the 36-hour battery life 100%. As far as the low power mode that delivers extra battery life, I've never tested that. I have no desire to test that to try and figure it out. But as a runner, I'm very competent and confident that I can run up to a marathon for sure, probably past a marathon with the watch starting fully charged, not a big deal. So I'm also going to include on the side, you can see like the charging, how long it took to charge the watch from zero. That was interesting. I had never charged the watch from dead zero, or at least not in recent times, so I couldn't remember. And it took a lot longer than I was expecting. So just something to be aware of as far as charging. That was on the Apple charger. I think it's a 20-watt charger, but it's a fast charger. And just some information to have. So that should give you maybe a little bit of information about whether or not the battery life would fit your needs or your specific situations. I can say for me, it's basically, actually it's never been an issue. When I see the watch is down, I just drop it on the charger on night, like when I'm getting ready to take a shower or whatever, I just take it off. By the time I'm out of the shower, it's charged up another 15 to 20%, and that's easily enough to get me through another day. My watch typically hovers around 50 to 75%. So overall, they do a really good job with the battery. I can confidently say that they're going to stick with their commitment on that one. So the Wayfinder watch face is actually a pretty nice watch face. You can see I've got mine set up right there, okay? So you've got the temperature, I've got the weather conditions, and my alarms, and my sunrise, sunset, my wind speed, my hours of sleep, my tide, and then the date is obviously in the middle there. Overall, and if you tap it, it'll give you the longitude and latitude. So that's a nice little watch. And then obviously, like they show you in the video, yeah, you can scroll it, goes this way, and it'll go into the red mode. That's actually really nice as well. However, I pretty much never use that, and that's because I'm a digital clock person. So if you're an analog person, sure, but I really like to know like the exact minutes at a quick glance. And what I found was if you're a digital watch reader and you glance at that, first off, for me, it takes a second. I got to think like, okay, yep, it's what I mean, it's just a second, but it's still a second to think. And then what I find is I forget it more easily because it was more of an image than the number. Whereas if I look and see the number, it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly what time it is. And then I remember. So those are my thoughts on the Wayfinder. I think it's a nice, neat little watch face, but certainly not a buying reason, not a reason to buy. Let's keep going. So I've already made a video on the Apple Watch bands that I think are the best outside of Apple, plus obviously this one. And if you click the link over there, it'll take you through that full walkthrough. However, they did mention that this thing is usable with a wetsuit. Yep, works. Works really well with a wetsuit, actually. You can still have it on the... Yeah, this one actually doesn't have... Okay, 1 second. Yeah, that's the one. The long sleeve wetsuit is exactly what I was looking for here. And yeah, I mean, it works. If I tap the screen here, you can see like it's there. I already, but see, that's what happens. This is something they didn't talk about, is that if I do this, you can see here, when it's on my wrist, I can obviously get the band over it. Everything is fine. But this has happened when I'm out surfing, is if I put it over the wetsuit, because it's not registering my wrist, if this thing gets out, it can, there you go. It goes back to lock mode. So you'd have to turn, it's just annoying. And realistically, it's something that you shouldn't have to deal with. I get it because it's not registering your wrist. So it's saying that it's like off the wrist and then, you know, kind of issues. But that's something they didn't talk about in the video. So what I have found is that I pretty much always have it under the wetsuit and I just put the wetsuit over it. Now, one thing that I want to say is that this is the best band for Apple Watches, bar none. I don't care what sport you're doing. I don't care if you're climbing, if you're running, or certainly if you're surfing. This is the band you should get, the Ocean band. Let me make my argument, and then you can disagree if you want. Number one, this band is silicone. It does not hold smell as strong. It does not hold discoloration and other stuff, whatever. It doesn't absorb all the things that get on it. So you can avoid a lot of the issues that come with the other bands. Plus, this one has a superpower. Let me show you what I mean. This little part right here, the little clasp they were talking about, you can push it through, which is what I've done. I actually pushed this whole thing through there and wrapped it back around so that now this thing opens on the outside. Now, why does that matter? Let me show you. If you're out doing extreme sports, whatever they are, whether you're climbing a mountain, surfing on the waves, or biking down some crazy trail, you can, watch this. You see that little metal piece right there? Watch what I'm about to do. I'm going to slide this band through the metal piece. Look at this. Bink. Did I say that right? I'm going to slide the metal piece through the band. Then you come here, you take it over, and you lock it in. And now that band is full on locked in to the metal piece. Metal piece locked into the band. That is a feature that none of the other bands have. So just something to be aware of. It's a nice little bonus feature. I'm also getting really hot in this jacket. Holy smokes. This is a wetsuit and it's meant to keep you warm and it's doing its job. So I'm a surfer. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my experience with the watch surfing in a little bit, but let's go on to the next thing so that I can switch out of this. So the answer to whether or not they delivered on this promise is a certifiable yes. I have experienced this over 720 miles of running just this year, and I've run in all different locations. In fact, our cross-country course, because I help out with our local cross-country team, and on that course, there's a whole section that's through woods and stuff, and I still have technically a Phoenix 5, and it regularly lost data in that section. I had a hard time keeping up with it, but you can see on the side of the screen here that the Apple Watch is tracking it perfectly. You can see the area where I ran through the woods. You can see the metrics that I'm getting, and it's really good with GPS. I have not had a more accurate watch when it comes to that, and I've tested that versus cars and other things. So I can say that Apple definitely delivered on the quality and accuracy of their GPS. I'll have a link in the description as well that'll take you to someone else who hyper tested this in a way that I don't need to get into. What I can say is that they delivered on this promise. So way to go, Apple. So the running data that they give you is an interesting question, really, because as a runner, I've used a lot of running data. I have a Garmin heart strap, chest strap, the swim one and the triathlon one, for those of you that are into running. So I've spent a lot of time with those kinds of metrics, and I've checked my vertical oscillation, my heart rate, my stride length, all of that kind of stuff. And what I've found is that I basically don't look at that information on the watch. They have it there. It's just not something that I focus on that much. And I don't know if it's really something that a lot of people focus on, except for like high level athletes that are looking to really refine areas of their running. So if you're just someone that's out there running, the main thing that you should care about is the accuracy of the GPS, and they do that really well. If you're someone that's looking for the oscillation, the stride length, and some of the other stuff, the Apple Watch does a pretty good job with that, I would say. But if you really want accurate data, you need to get some sort of a strap on your body, because that's going to give you a true up and down, whereas the watch obviously is a little bit of leeway on that one. Just something to be aware of, but overall, I would say that they delivered on this one too. But what about that track data? Yeah, I almost missed this, but then I saw that I had made a note of it. And I run around a track a lot because I help out with the cross-country team, and I do a warm-up mile every time. And overall, it's pretty close. It's pretty close, but it's not 100%. And if you've ever taken an Apple Watch to a track, you'll know. Just take it to a track. The thing does pop up. It recognizes I'm at a track, but when I get in a different lane and I set the lane, it's usually a little bit less than it's a little bit more than what I've actually run. So it'll say that I've done a mile when there's like a little bit more than a mile, a little bit more of the mile left. Just something to be aware of. Overall, I would say trust your track more than the Apple Watch, and use the action button to set your segments as you pass the actual sections. So we're back to the action button. Yeah, I just wanted to jump in here really quickly because you can mark those segments, and it does do a really good job. It is actually the number one reason why I decided to get an Apple Watch. I had tried for a couple of years, and I needed a tactile way to mark segments or splits. The Apple Watch does not let you mark splits, but segments functions in essentially the same way, and you can set up your watch data screens to show you what you want to see as far as segments or splits go. And I talked about that in my kind of like deep dive Apple Watch walkthrough. I'll have a link over there you can click on. It'll walk you through like some of the ways that I set up my segments for the Apple Watch, and that's kind of helpful. But overall, I would say that in general, the Apple Watch action button does what it's supposed to do, so they delivered on that one. Just needs some refinement. Okay, I just had to stop them right there just for a second, because they said on the low power mode, most. So I don't know where they're doing the actual cutoff, but for the most part, yeah, you could probably get through an Ironman if you're one of the most athletes. Overall, I wouldn't trust the Apple Watch battery to deliver through a full triathlon. It's just not a risk I would want to take. I would grab a different watch to measure that, or have a way to, I'd probably just grab a different watch. Personally, because I just want the tracking the whole time. I don't want like a low power mode, but maybe the new one is going to solve that issue and give us enough more battery life that won't even be an issue anymore. So the Compass app, I never even used it. I actually removed it from the watch. I just downloaded it again to check it back out just to see. And when I went to download it, it's got 3-star ratings. And when you go through and read some of those people are like actual wilderness people that are comparing it to a real compass. And they're like, this thing is not as accurate as it needs to be. So I would say they have not delivered on the Compass app, and some of the statements they make about the Compass app probably shouldn't be made. Like, you can find your way back out using the true north direction. Like, people are like, it's a little bit wonky. So just be aware of that. Maybe don't trust it on your next hike. Just grab like a $5 compass, $10 compass, and you'll be good to go. I would pick that over the Apple Watch if I had to have a compass. Just something to think about. But it's a fun little app, I guess. All right, the siren. The siren is interesting because when you first press it, it's kind of loud, but it's not super loud. It kind of takes a second to build up, but the thing gets loud. And the pattern that they created for the sound is truly distinct. I would say that you could reasonably rely on the siren to let somebody know where you were, unless you were like in the middle of nowhere. Like, you gotta hope that somebody's gonna walk by based on the distances they give. I would say that, if you're off trail, you've fallen, that could be really helpful. The nice thing is it doesn't take a lot of battery, and it is a way to keep you from having to scream at the top of your lungs. But personally, yeah, I would probably just call for help if I had service. So maybe don't go places you don't have service. So I already kind of talked about surfing and diving with the watch. Not really diving, but just like swimming underwater. I do love the dive feature of it. I've just not gone scuba diving. It's kind of fun to play with in the pool. Like, when you first get it, it's fun to go down and be like, oh, look at that. It's 5 feet deep, and the water temperature. It is nice to see the water temperature. That's actually been kind of fun or useful. Actually, it's really not useful. Like, I guess it's just knowledge. Like, I've stuck my hand in the water and be like, oh, the water's 78 degrees or 81 degrees. But like, if you put your hand in the water and you're like, I don't want to get in, it feels too cold, that's really all you need to know, Or if you put it in and it's not too cold, then jump in and have a good time. So I would say that those two things aren't super important, and certainly not buying reasons, but maybe fun features to have on the watch. Just pluses, that's what I would say. All right, let's check out the next section. So the Oceanic Plus app has promised a lot of great things, and I went on YouTube to find anything I could about it, and all of the stuff was like 9 to 11 months old, which is disappointing at best. And I kept looking around, and finally I found one person, iJustine, who reviewed it 2 months ago, which would have been June or July of 2023. All right. And in her video, starting at the 5-minute mark, I've put the link in the description so you can click on it and go to the 5-minute mark if you want to skip all the fun B-roll, whatever stuff, and actually look at the information on the Oceanic app. She gives you a little bit of information on the app, a little bit of walkthrough, and maybe a couple minutes later they give some more experience, but the whole video is sponsored by Oceanic Plus. So that's kind of a biased review. She's not going to trash the app. She's not going to talk about the problems she's having. And a lot of other people talked about some of the connectivity issues between the app and the watch, and like, maybe they wouldn't trust it yet. So I haven't seen anything recent with it. Maybe somebody else, if you're someone that uses it with the Oceanic Plus app, please comment below, let people know that it works or doesn't work. And it's definitely like a call out to the ethos, the company itself, Hewish, and the what they're known for as a brand. So just consider that. That's once again Apple using good marketing strategies to sell their product, and they do a good job with that. I'm a sucker for good summaries, and I'd say they did a pretty good job with that. You can run your longest race, you can explore backcountry, you can dive the oceans. It's going to give you everything you need. And I would say they've delivered on all of those things. Like, they didn't really fail on the promises they made with the watch. The question is, if they did keep most of those promises to the degree they said they would, is that enough of a reason for you to buy the product? That last little clip is important because it's Apple appealing to pathos, your good feelings about what they are doing for the planet. You're going to feel good buying their product. And that's just simple marketing strategy. It's good. They could be doing all of that and not telling you, but they are definitely making sure you know, even if it's included as a small little thing at the end. So I would say that overall, they're doing a good job with the product. They've covered good stuff. There's going to be one last promotional video that we get to watch, and then I'm going to summarize my thoughts and leave you with my final conclusion on why I think you should get the Apple Watch and why I think you shouldn't get the Apple Watch. Here we go. Absolutely incredible, right? You got to give Apple huge props on their production quality and value. They blow it out of the park. Like, the stories they just delivered, the emotion that you should be feeling, the confidence that you have that you could take this product and just dominate the world, it's in there, 100%. The question is, does that actually matter for you? So here are my thoughts on this. There are essentially 5 key differentiating factors with the Apple Watch Ultra that I would say make it worth getting above the Apple Watch normal version if you want these things. Number 1, battery life. If battery life matters to you and you want to be able to just not think about it, then the Apple Watch Ultra will take care of that problem. I don't think about it, all right? Screen size. If having to work with a smaller screen is an issue for you, where seeing complications or tapping and engaging in the conversations is an issue for you, then having the bigger screen is really nice. Screen brightness. This thing truly gets brighter than every other display as far as Apple Watches go, and it is a really nice experience to have. So I definitely think that for that, it's worth it. If you're like someone that spends a lot of time in the daylight and you're having trouble seeing, it's a nice little addition. The fourth reason that I think this one would be worth it is if you are dealing with really rugged situations where you're dinging and banging and scratching and knocking, then this thing is going to do an excellent job of holding up against any of that. Okay? And the 5th reason that I would say that you should get the Apple Watch, if you're just on the fence trying to figure it out between the two, is that at the end of the day, the action button with the speakers are some really nice features that make it extremely user-friendly for athletes. Along with obviously the upgraded GPS, but that's the same as the Apple Watch 8 and will be the same in future watches. So battery life, screen size, screen brightness, durability, and the action button, I would say, would be the main reasons for anyone to get the Apple Watch. If you don't need more battery, like you've used an Apple Watch before and the battery life has been fine for you, you don't actually want a bigger screen, like you want a smaller watch on your wrist, it's plenty light. You hardly even notice it once you get on. If previous Apple Watches have been bright enough for you, if the durability is not a main, like you don't have problems scratching yours up or messing it up, and you don't need an action button because you're not an athlete, then I would say just stick with the normal Apple Watch. And those would be my differentiating factors. So at the end of the day, those 5 things should help you make the decision. And this video walkthrough should have clarified some of your questions about the current Apple Watch and potentially future Apple Watches. Hopes this helps you. Remember that this channel is dedicated to helping you make the better buy by giving you the information you need on the stuff that you want. So if you enjoyed this video, if it helped you, if you liked it, please like it, subscribe, follow my channel, and help me help you make the better buy. I'll see you in the next one.